Hello and welcome to the March series of ACOA. ACOA is an international, inspiring and informative webinar series by global university systems that brings to you some of the most interesting businesses and business leaders from across the globe. Our topic today is the art of social media marketing. Now we're joined by Sophie Southmayd, who is the owner and creative director of Social Southmayd. Sophie, a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's such a pleasure to have you here, and thank you for taking the time to speak to our staff and students.
It's really my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Sophie. And today, Sophie will give you a short introduction or a brief, long introduction about Social Southmayd, about all the fantastic things they do, about social media management, about content creation. What I find fascinating is the company has grown over 500% from 2018. She'll also tell us more about this and how she made that happen. So join us today if you want to hear more about what to do when it comes to social media, tips, the tricks. We'll be delving into the world of social media management. We'll be talking about harnessing the power of digital marketing. And one of the best things about this webinar today is it's International Women's Day this month. It was on the 8th of March. And we have here a fantastic businesswoman entrepreneur, Sophie. So it's a great honor for us to feature her today. Right before we start, Sophie, so Gus places a lot of importance on his company values. And social media equates to communication. So I would like to know, what does communication mean to Social Southmayd?
Gosh, I really think communication is the backbone of social media and therefore at Social Southmayd, and everything from communication with my clients to communication with my team to communication with, our client base, the world. Social media has so many different ways of communicating, whether it's visual, through sound, whatever platform it is. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, platforms like Instagram and LinkedIn and TikTok, and all of them are different languages. So communication is something that we are constantly evolving and learning. So very, very important for us.
Thank you, Sophie. To our viewers and to our guests, do send questions for Sophie in the chat box, and we'll come back to you during the Q&A session. Now, one thing that I want to mention is Sophie's also looking for some candidates as interns or as part of her team. So if you're interested, and who isn't interested in social media, you do it as it's part of our life nowadays. So do send the questions. Do ask Sophie what kind of candidates she's looking for. What roles does the company have? Be proactive. Get in the live chat. This is your opportunity to talk directly to Sophie. Make the most of it. So let's get started. Sophie, just an introduction to what you do and what is it that you do as the creative director and the owner of Social Southmayd. Tell us a bit more. Tell us.
Gosh, okay, well, it really depends on the day.
Okay.
Every day is very, very different at a small business. What do I do? So I have a wonderful team of social media marketers, everything from photographers, videographers, account executives that help manage accounts. So I help manage the team. But then also we do a lot of photo shoots and video shoots. So I do all of the creative direction. Any of the Instagram advertisements that you see or any of the TikTok videos that you see, my company will help other companies create that. We do influencer campaigns. We do website development. We do lots of community management. So community management is something that's really important for a lot of businesses. It's really where they're connecting with their clients on Instagram, and they're not just a robot. They're actually asking questions and interacting, liking, following, commenting. So it's a lot that we do in a day. Just depends on the day.
Can you imagine? So how is it to manage a big team? How do you find it? How is it easy? Is it difficult? I mean, it's social media. We're all on social media all the time. So how do you find?
There are some real pros and cons. I love having a team. I would say that probably mentorship and leadership is something that I really love doing. That's one of the reasons why I decided to start a business, is that I really like having that. I really love having a team environment. And a business coach that I spoke to a while ago asked me, why did you set up the business? Do you, feel like you want to be a lone wolf and just, make a lot of money and, kind of eventually sell it? And for me, it's really about the family that we're creating. I think that I bring in my team. I mean, we're all women, and I think I bring a lot of female energy to the table, which I think for a while I was like, oof, am I bringing too much female energy? And actually I really do think it's our greatest strength. I think that we bring a different way of doing business than other companies do. So I really try to harness that as much as possible. But managing a big team, it has its ups and downs. You have to make sure that people are progressing in a way that they want to. Making sure that you have appraisals. So that's another thing that we try to do, is have appraisals every 6 months. And I've always had a very open door policy. I think that it's a work environment can be a really lonely place if you feel like you can't talk to your boss.
Absolutely.
So I really try to instill that as much as possible. It's probably a Canadian way of doing things. Just try to be as nice as possible.
Talking about Canada, you have been to university in Canada. You have and also in Paris. So how did you go from being a 7-year-old girl in Montreal, polishing nails? Do you call it polishing nails? Yes, polishing nails during lunch break, to becoming the head stylist at Ralph Lauren?
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah.
What a journey.
Yeah, it was quite a journey. So just to give a little bit of context, so I started my first business when I was 7 years old. I stole all of my mom's nail polish and all of my stepmother's nail polish, and I started painting my friends' nails at recess, and then there was a massive demand for it. So I realized that I needed to get some of my girlfriends to help me paint nails, and then I thought, should we we're doing a service here, should we get 25 cents or maybe a snack or something like that? And basically the principal shut it down within within a week or something, because I think parents started complaining. But yeah, that was my first brush with my entrepreneurship career. And Paris was amazing. I lived there for 2 years, went to school there, got my first job there. I started in the beauty industry, and it was so fun. I mean, as a girl living in Paris, going into beauty, it's something that a lot of girls dream of. So I was very lucky. But I think I was always the keener at the front of the class that was always asking a lot of questions. Whenever there was a guest speaker that I thought was cool, I was asking a million questions, like, so can I intern? I'll do it for free. I'll do all sorts of ways just to kind of get my foot through the door.
Well, it's just in your fiber, isn't it? If you already had those entrepreneurial thoughts when you're 7 years old, I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, it can get you into a lot of trouble, or it could, help you to, launch your career. But, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, you've got so much experience in different industries, just like you mentioned, from beauty to fashion to digital marketing. How do you find has this helped you shape your company today, Social Southmayd?
Well, we do everything. So we work with a lot of different industries, and we work in beauty, we work in fashion, lifestyle, food and beverage. So really we have so many different customer base, and we're really lucky to work with the customers that we work with today. I would say that having the beauty experience and the fashion experience, I think, gave my business a bit of legitimacy. People just trusted me potentially a little bit more. And I'm so grateful, because I had 2 years of beauty experience, and then I went into fashion for about just under 10 years. And they were, they're tough industries, because they're a bit cutthroat. You want, if you're not, into it, there are 20 people waiting to take your spot. So it teaches you to be resilient. But I think that's, being in those industries really taught me resilience. And I think there were really some tough times, but it really taught me how to bounce back and paved the way for me to start my business today. Yeah.
You are an expert in social media, with 20,000 followers on Instagram. Now I have this question to you. I'm very passionate about human rights, but whenever I post anything about human rights, the amount of attention it gets is quite disappointing compared to something if I post when I'm at the gym.
Yeah.
It's hugely disappointing. So as an expert, what are your top tips? How do I get people to respond to the right content that I actually want to post and get attention to? And how is social media important to companies today with their marketing?
I mean, you're so right. I mean, I really wish that it wasn't, that we weren't attracted to that kind of sexy culture. You know, there's just things that are sexy, and there are things that aren't, that you know, should be a little bit more appealing to people. But
exactly.
but I do agree with you that it is our job, and we're given a lot of different jobs, you know, to make things appeal to people when they wouldn't normally appeal to people. So I see it as a bit of a challenge. I would say that. A couple of tips that I would say is authenticity is really the big word, you know, from now, and you know, the social media world is saying for the next 10 years, that is like something that we really, really have to make sure that we are as authentic as possible.
Yeah.
There, you know, we were living in the age of deception, you know, Tinder swindler and inventing Anna, and people just inherently don't trust you when they land on your page. So you have to convince them that you are worth a follow. So authenticity should be at the core of any marketing strategy that you have, any product that you have. You know, for example, making sure that our campaigns are as diverse as possible is really important to me. But if I'm representing a brand that doesn't cater to a diverse audience, then it feels quite false. So we have to make sure that there's that there is that sort of synergy when we are, you know, and I think it's our social responsibility to also educate our clients about this is, you know, what we think you should do with your product range and will help your marketing campaign. So authenticity is definitely at the forefront, and I think consistency is really, really important as well. So if you tell your followers that you're doing a story every Sunday, you got to do it every Sunday, even if you're hungover the next day, even if you know, something comes up, you want to go for brunch with your friends. If you want to grow on social media, you have to be consistent. So for example, on my page, because I'm running a business and because, you know, I have a home and a family, then, you know, I don't always want to be on my phone. I've committed to every Sunday I do a story, and every Sunday I do a post. And then during the week, I do little bits here and there. And I feel that that's enough for my audience. And I would say, so don't overpromise and underdeliver, because again, that is, you know, it takes away from the trust from your account. So authenticity and consistency. And just to answer your question about if social media is important for businesses, absolutely it is. It's a non-negotiable. You know, it has to be part of the fabric of your business, and so much more of the marketing budget should go towards social media than it previously had. I feel like I could talk to you all day about this, but I appreciate you have other things you want to talk to me about.
It's good. It's good. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
And I think, and I hope students are in the meantime asking us questions. So if you're not, I'm going to be hugely disappointed. Send us your questions right now. It's about social media. It's something that really excites us, and all of us have a lot of questions about. So. You have collaborated with lots of companies over various industries, and can you tell us about some of the things that you're most proud of since launching Social Southmayd?
I would say I think the biggest thing that we don't talk enough about is the importance of having a great team behind you. I'm here today talking to you, and the reason I can come here is because I have a team that's working on everything else while I'm, you know, enjoying myself and having a nice conversation with you. And I think there's been a lot of hiccups along the way because I've tried to do things either inexpensively or too quickly, or and I just feel like you can't build a house without a great foundation. And for a lot of years I was trying to build that house and just like, oh, but why does it keep on collapsing? So I would say that I'm the most proud of my team. I really have an incredible team. I look forward to coming into work every day. We're all friends. We all, you know, go out for each other's birthdays, and, you know, I really try to create a really nice environment for my team. And I would say that I have some incredible clients, you know, where when a global pandemic hits and people are making budget cuts, they decide to keep us, you know. So that's incredible. Just I saw, you know, which clients were really there for the long haul, and then which ones weren't, you know, and it's really rewarding to where I think that life's too short. Like we can't work with people that we don't like, or or
absolutely.
if we do work with people we don't like, can it just be for a month or something, and then we just part ways. Chances are if I don't like them, they don't like me either, and let's just call it a day.
It's not a good energy to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
While we're on the topic of talking about your team, and how wonderful it is, your team of 8 members, I guess, and all women team. To students who are watching today and who would like to join your team, what are you looking for if in a person who would apply? Do you have internships? Do you have job opportunities? And in a candidate, what are some of the key elements that they need to bring to the table to be part of your team?
Well, I'm glad you asked. We always have internships that are available. So in the internship, we would train you, we would teach you all of the systems. I mean, I think that what we would normally do is focus on Instagram. Instagram is just such a behemoth of a platform that it takes ages to just understand that. And then we go through all the platforms and we teach you how to speak the language, essentially. The internship is probably the biggest piece for your community, but as soon as you're out of university, then we could look into a junior account executive position. We're currently hiring for a junior account executive position. In fact, I just had 3 interviews this morning.
Heard that?
It's a really... it's a great position because you'll be working with our lead creative and you're working with our managers. So again, getting amazing exposure to some of the brands that we are so privileged to work with, from all different kinds of industries. And I really make sure to get to know the people and the candidates that I'm speaking to say, what industries are you interested in? Because I think that if someone is really passionate about what they're doing, I just get the best out of them. They're winning, I'm winning. And I really try to get to know them. But I would say that if you did want to apply for a position with me, and I do hope to meet some of you.
There you go. You had to see him directly.
Yes,
This is your chance.
I do hope to meet you. We're looking for someone who's just really has a keen, just wanting to learn as much as possible. That's really important for us.
For students who are watching us today, who are inspired by you, who want to replicate the success you have, what career advice would you give them? How can they get to where you are today? And you can also talk about the difficult times. I guess a lot of the times, I remember when I went to uni and I saw guest speakers, I used to think, oh my God, the CEO of a company. How was it? Was it always just a straight road, a straight drive with no bumps and just putting the effort, or were there also really challenging times where you felt like you had to give up? You felt like it's almost going to be too hard to get to the next step. And those are things that which will also be motivating for students to hear, that they know even if it's hard, you can still get there. You just have to.
It was really hard.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Had I known how hard it was going to be, I don't know if I would have started it. But that being said, I was just I was telling you earlier that it's my proudest accomplishment, and we're in our 4th year. We'll be celebrating our 4-year anniversary in November, which is really
congratulations.
exciting. Thank you very much. But I think I gave myself a 5-year cutoff where, in the first 2 years, I was like, if it's still like this in 3 years, then I'm calling it a day. Unfortunately, it's not. But basically, I think that I started off the business just saying yes to everything. If someone was knocking on my door for social media, but it wasn't necessarily a project that I felt really passionate about, I was just saying yes to it. And I think that was probably the right move. It was quite, it was kind of painful when it was happening because I was like, oh, I hate working on this. But, you made money, you learned how to save, I think that it's completely normal if any of you out there have started, a kind of side hustle business and you're not making money within the first 2 years. That is completely normal. Yeah. We did not make money in the first 2 years.
This is good to know.
Absolutely not. It was tough, or very small amount. Yeah. And I, would take care of the team. That the team gets fed first, and then all of the expenses, and then if there's something left over, then the boss gets it.
True leadership skills.
Yes, exactly. So it's just there was at one point where I was like, okay, what is the least expensive thing that I can buy in the grocery store? And it was like, okay, ramen noodles and broccoli so that I don't die. It's just like, I mean, I'm exaggerating. I'm very lucky to, not just suffered too much, but in general, it was tricky.
It's good to hear that you have been through those stages as well, because I think that's something that a lot of people are not aware of. They just think you're here, you have your company, and everything is pink rose and everything is fantastic now, but you go through challenging times.
Yeah.
And getting through it.
Yeah, still
Fantastic.
do. Still do.
Yeah,
Still do. Every day is different.
Yeah.
Which I think I kind of like. I think I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie in general, which is why I threw myself into this. But I think resilience is really important. I think that I admittedly like things to go really quick, and if they're not going quick, I get quite frustrated.
Yeah.
So slow down. You don't have to make $1 million tomorrow. You know what I mean? There's a lot of these like overnight success stories, and it can get you kind of down, like, oh, am I doing something wrong or whatever. But build your infrastructure, make sure you have a solid team, or if you're doing it on your own, just make sure that any project that you're taking on, you're doing a good job, because your reputation's important when you're starting off. You know?
I think that's a really good message there, because I can imagine a lot of us getting caught up with comparing ourselves with these overnight successes and thinking, if I'm not there yet, then this is not going to work. But it's really important, just like you said, focus on the work that you do.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely a key message. How do you find social media has changed since you have started working in it? Like, how has it evolved, and what are some of the changes, and how do you find it adapting to these changes?
Yeah. So it's changed dramatically. You know, so I moved over from Montreal to London, and was working in fashion. And for those of you who work in fashion or know the fashion industry, it's hard to make good money in fashion. Even when you're top of your game, it's an industry where it's a little bit tricky with that. And I think that one of the gifts that it gave me was that, it was my job at Ralph Lauren to bring in clients. And how was I going to do that? I'm Canadian. I don't know anyone in London. I can't join private members clubs because I don't have enough money for it. So like, how am I going to do this? And so I started an Instagram account, and I just said, well, I guess like people might be interested in what I do, and I work with a beautiful brand, and so maybe I could just, take some stories from kind of behind the scenes and, the collection and whatever. And it just started growing. And then I had more people asking me for help with their Instagram than I was getting, appointments through the door. Wow. Sorry, Ralph Lauren. And that's how it kind of launched my business. Yeah. But Instagram back then was, for example, it was so much easier to grow your account back then. It was really the Wild West. You could do whatever you wanted and it was not regulated. And even now it's not as regulated as it should be. But, I have constantly clients coming to me saying, I want to get to 100,000 followers, and how do I do it, and can we get there next week?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah. So I would say that a couple of years ago it was just easier. There were a lot of techniques like giveaways and that sort of thing that would help with growth, but now it's a bit trickier, and some platforms like Facebook are becoming a bit obsolete. Yeah. Other platforms like TikTok are just booming, and everyone's asking, should we be on this platform when it's not necessarily right for every industry. Yeah. So really, really different.
On that note, I have to say that I've started a TikTok account last week, and I have no idea how it works. Yeah. So I'm yet to learn how it works. I probably should be admitting it here, but just to let you know that we're all still learning. Yeah. And social media keeps evolving.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy. I was just saying to you earlier that I have, a super young team, and I have a 22-year-old that runs my TikTok for my accounts, and I'm constantly asking her, like, is this cool? Like, is this like I'm the owner of the company, like I should have a say on this, but she's the one that says if something is going to go viral or not. Yeah. And I trust her because this is her generation, so it's constantly evolving, and it's a language that's just as soon as you think you've harnessed that algorithm, it changes, which is that's business.
It's constant learning.
Yeah, exactly.
How does the agency life compare to previous roles where you worked in-house? How do you find it?
Well, I guess when I really like the fact that I can work on different projects at the same time. I think that again, that's when I thrive, is when I have a lot of different things that are going on at a time. So I've always been interested in fashion, but fashion just wasn't doing it for me as much as it used to. And so now, one day I'm working on beauty, the next minute I'm working with a hotel, the next I'm working with a restaurant. So it's
much variety.
It's so much variety, and every day is different. And I think that's just makes me excited. So I love agency life for that reason.
Working in social media and being an influencer yourself, do you find it hard to put down your phone, and do you have any strategies to limit the screen time of after work hours? Is that one of the golden questions, I guess?
It's one of the golden questions, I know all of the tricks, but do I do them myself? Yeah, I mean, I think that I like to kind of switch off around 7. Yeah. And put down my phone so I can enjoy dinner with my husband and just have a nice downtime and but as an entrepreneur, and this is something that I think I should say to everyone, is that I think a lot of people look at entrepreneurship and think, wow, yeah, I'd love to run my own business, but I don't think that everyone is made to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. I think that's something that I don't think we talk enough about. Yeah. You're never fully off. Yeah. Even when you're on holiday, I mean, and even now where I have a really strong team and I can come and I can do these things, and I still can't switch off. Yeah. So that's a sacrifice you have to make.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's something that a lot of people are not aware of. It's not a 9-to-5 job.
No.
It's a full-time job, basically.
Yeah. But I love it, so it doesn't feel like, I don't have children, but I feel like this is what having a child would be like. Yeah. You know what I mean? That you just can't really switch off, and
it's your baby.
Yeah,
it's
yeah. My firstborn. Yeah.
Sophie, thank you so much for the little chat that we had, the little interview. It's been amazing. Let's take a look at some of the questions we have received in the Q&A session.
Great.
So we've got the first one here. What would you say is the hardest social media channel to get it right when trying to reach an audience?
That's a really good question. It really depends what your budget is. Okay. For example, YouTube is an amazing platform, and it's probably, if we talk about influencer content, it's the one where influencers can charge the most for. So if you want to get into influencing, then that's a really great platform to harness. However, video content is some of the most expensive to produce. Yes. For businesses. If you're able to have great equipment and talk to your laptop, then that's fine. But for most businesses, a videography, in a photo shoot, we can churn out probably 30 strong images. In a video shoot, we can churn out two or three. So just in terms of content, YouTube's a tricky one. TikTok is a tricky one. No one wants to be the old business trying to be cool. Not everything is made for. Not every business is right for TikTok. Yeah. But TikTok is kind of going down the route that Instagram did. Yeah. And I think eventually it become more and more businessy, and so I would say TikTok's tricky and YouTube's tricky. Yeah.
It's also interesting to see the different kind of languages that are used on these different platforms. Yeah. You can't really just replicate everything everywhere. It doesn't work.
Exactly. Yeah. And just the trends, and putting, that's another tip, is if you want your videos to do better, make sure that you're using trending music always, even if it doesn't really match. Yeah. You'll notice a huge difference. Yeah.
I'll make a note of it now. Yeah. Our second question is, can you share a story of a successful client campaign? Other than creating content, getting views and likes, how do you measure success?
So, I mean, I could give a kind of analytics training. So I think that probably the most prevalent platform that I should talk about is Instagram, just because it's the one that people maybe know the most. But reach is probably the most important optic to look at. Like, for example, I don't measure success for reels on likes. A lot of the time people don't like reels, but it's the number of reach that I would get. So just in terms of clarification, in terms of impressions and reach, I'm not sure if you guys know the difference, but impressions, reach is the amount of people, individual people who have seen your campaign, and impressions is the number of times that if you viewed it 3 times and I viewed it twice, we're 2 people, so that would be 2 reach. But impressions would be 5. So reach is what I want. So I would say that's probably the highest. In terms of a successful campaign, I guess without naming any names of my clients, just like for confidentiality, I worked with an amazing skincare company, world-renowned, and we had a campaign around sunscreen, and it was, and you know how sunscreen kind of has that white cast, so going into different skin tones, it's kind of tricky, and you need to make sure that it works for all different skin tones, and that's something that I was really proud of, is that we made sure that it was as inclusive as possible. So that was, I think, a personal success, and I think it did well. I think it was good. Yeah.
Fantastic. Our next question is, how do you find clients that you want to work with, and how do you turn down potential clients that you don't like?
That's such a good question. How do I think that, there's so many agencies out there. So like, how do you kind of break through the noise? I like to offer a lot of stuff for free. If I'm being completely honest, it sucks. It really sucks to work for free. I don't think you should do it for everyone. But if you do want to kind of just show them your portfolio, then if it's a coffee company you want to work with, buy one of their coffees, take some content, send it over to them, and just say, hey, listen, we're some big fans over here, so you can use it if you'd like. It's our gift to you. Otherwise, we'd love to work with you in the future at some point. And so that's how I probably approach big clients, and big clients that I want, rather. And in terms of the ones that I don't want, I think I'm just a little bit, I think I'm quite straight with them. I think I just say, I'm not sure if I'm the right agency for you. And I also have, a kind of roster of agencies that I refer them to, or, so I'll just say that, but it's tricky. It's like someone asking you out, and you're not wanting to go out with them.
That's true. So that's true. It is actually, when you put it in that context.
It's so awkward. But it does happen. You can't say yes to everyone.
It is true. Our next question is, do you have clients who have approached you about TikTok? What advice would you give to brands who are looking to reach audiences on the platform?
I do have a lot of clients that ask for TikTok. I think that TikTok for brands is important. It's really important. But I just think that a lot of the brands that I work with just think that they need to be on TikTok because they need to be on TikTok. I would really assess if that's the right audience for you. So TikTok is a younger audience. So if you're selling,
something that's for a mature demography, then it wouldn't work. And it would just be a waste of money. I'd rather you take that money. So for example, if you're trying to reach mothers, families of 2 to 3 children, mothers aged 25 to 45, Instagram and Pinterest might be the best thing for you. So Pinterest is a highly undervalued platform, for example, and it's a relatively inexpensive platform to run because you can reuse a lot of the Instagram content that you make and repurpose it for Pinterest. Amazing.
Whereas TikTok has to be pure TikTok-made content. So if you have an unlimited budget and you want to speak to this demographic, then absolutely TikTok can really do great things for businesses. But if you are working with a smaller budget, then just keep it a bit tighter and let's focus on your niche.
The next question is, I have a business that I run and I want to take it to the next level by using social media. What is the first step, since there's a lot of false information out there on social media?
Well, congratulations for starting your business. It's from one business owner to the other. It's not easy. So well done. Taking it to the next level with social media. I mean, I'd have to kind of look specifically what your business does, but I would just try to find out who are you speaking to? So is it men, women? What is the age? What are their interests? And then you can tailor the platform for that. So for example, if it were men, Twitter and YouTube are platforms that men prefer to use. Pinterest is a highly female platform. I think you would just need to have a sit down with a social media expert, because if you do want to take it to the next level, and I'm assuming that means that there's going to be a time investment and a financial investment, then I would really take the time to speak to an expert before you spend that, because as a business owner, I'm sure you don't have time. I'm sure you're doing a million different things at once. So I would say try to find someone who's an expert in the field and get a little bit of advice.
The next one is, what are the benchmarks you set to measure successful social media marketing campaigns? It's kind of a little bit of repetitive of what we mentioned earlier, isn't it? Similarly, you've almost answered the question already, I guess.
Yeah, I would say like reach is very important. Yes. I think that a lot of my brands look at likes and comments and follows. I think likes and comments and follows are absolutely important, and it certainly adds to your brand's image if you have 20,000 followers as opposed to 200 followers. I think a lot of brands get a little bit embarrassed. Yeah. You know, it's a bit of an ego thing, you know? Whereas, you know, we work on, you know, some accounts that have a couple thousand followers, but who have amazing engagement rates and have amazing communities. And I really love those companies, because that's the sweet spot. That's when you're really taking care of your community. Whereas, you know, we have other accounts where you know, we have 120,000 followers, and we don't have the engagement rate that we would want. You know, so I think engagement rate's really important. And if you don't know how to calculate engagement rate, there's you can Google it, but I think there's something called engagement calculator, and you just put in your name and you can see people's engagement rates, and it kind of teaches you how to do it. And that's a good measure if you're performing well.
But while we're on that topic, if you're watching this video, do like and comment, because we do want to see your engagement.
Yes.
As a woman, what kind of challenges do you face while starting your own enterprise? And how do you work on insulating creativity in your work? Insulating? Inculcating? I don't think I'm pronouncing the word right.
It's okay, yeah. I think I understand. I would say that, I think we were talking about this before. I think that female energy, I think that I'm quite, I bring a lot of female energy into my business. And I think that I always thought that I needed to maybe scale that back. I think I saw it as a weakness. But it's funny, because I try to I do evaluations with my team every 6 months. And I asked them to do an evaluation with me to make sure that I was doing a good job for them.
Wow.
And they said, you know, so part of it is, you know, what are some of your weaknesses, or what are some of the things that you want to work on? And I said, I think I need to tone down the female energy, and, you know, and they said, actually, that's like one of our strengths. I think that that's what separates us from other and now I'm so glad that I asked that question, because it is a real strength. You know what I mean? It's compassion, and it's listening, and you know, there's something about it that is different, and I think is very 2022. So I would say that there are some challenges are redefining the role of an entrepreneur and what classically that looks like. I would say, I think that women are that we're just incredible. Like, I think that there's so much we can do now. There aren't that many disadvantages to us anymore. I think the world is open to us. So, yeah.
What better candidate to have for International Women's Day? What advice would you give to someone who has a website dedicated to content related to skincare?
For a business, for social media? So I guess for an e-commerce, so I guess roughly, I think if I've understood this properly, what social media would you say for a skincare e-commerce business? Instagram's a great platform to be on. I would say, like, if you haven't started Instagram, start with Instagram. It's the hero platform for so many beauty businesses. But just be careful, because it's expensive. You know, like all social media is expensive. You know, you're going to have to invest a little bit into paid social as well as organic. It's expensive in terms, as I said before, in terms of time and money. But I think I'd have to look into it a little bit closer. But in general, I would say Instagram. Yeah.
And one of our final questions: TikTok or Instagram Reels?
Gosh, I wish I could just say this is the answer. But it's you know, TikTok, Reels comes from TikTok. Instagram is the king of taking innovative concepts from other platforms and bringing it onto there. So, for example, with Snapchat came stories. You know, Instagram TV came from YouTube videos, so that people wouldn't go to YouTube; that they would stay on the platform. And Reels come from TikTok. So, from a purist standpoint, TikTok is, you know, the creator.
Yeah.
But in terms of investment, I mean, it depends. It really depends. Both are great. Both are great.
Sophie, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you.
We learned so much about social media. I've learned so much about social media, things that I wasn't aware of, distinction. So thank you so much for being here and taking the time for us Southern students. It's been inspiring and absolutely a pleasure.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me.
And to our viewers, thank you for joining us today. We hope you have enjoyed this webinar as much as we did, talking about the topic, the art of social media marketing. Our next webinar is going to be on the 28th of April at 1 p.m. BST with award-winning radio broadcaster and CEO of Leica Media, Raj Bandan. He's also the founder of Biz Asia Live. For more information, do subscribe to our channel. And if we don't get to see you, have a great Easter break. We wouldn't be getting to see you because it's going to be then.
Yeah.
That was redundant.
Yeah.
Forgot I ever said that. So have a great Easter break and we'll see you in April. And Sophie, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in.